Hi family, welcome to Intimate Conversations with Francis O'Brien, healing one heart at a time. It's been a long time. I know, I'm sorry. Blast me. I apologize for not coming out and talking to you guys. It's been a really long time. Actually, since the beginning of the lockdown, I haven't come out and spoken to you guys. And I guess all of us can agree that a lot has been happening in our space, in the world. And I think a lot of people have taken time to introspect. A lot of people have taken time to reflect. A lot of people have taken time to really figure out what's truly important to them. Optimistically looking at it, of course. So this is just an update on how I've been doing, because I feel I do owe you guys an explanation as to why I've been kind of quiet, etc., etc. So obviously, considering the elephant in the room, which is the COVID, I mean, it's affected all of us gravely, I must say. It's really affected us gravely, and some of us have probably even lost loved ones. Not probably, but we have lost loved ones. Just because you haven't lost somebody doesn't mean a human life has gone to this dreaded virus. If there's ever a time in the world has needed to draw together as a human race, it is now. Infections are really rampant. I think at the moment, as I'm speaking to you now, which is a Monday the 8th of June, we are talking about a global infection rate of over 7 million. In South Africa alone, we have at least over 48,000 infections. We have at least over 950 deaths. So we just got put into level 3 from the 1st of June. So, the majority of us have been working remotely from home from level 5 to level 4. As of the 1st of June, a lot of people have been reintroduced to work, and as expected, and as the president did say in his speech or in his address, that they're expecting, infections to spike, and that's exactly what has happened. There was talk, obviously, of certain areas being reaching different levels at a different time, but I don't think that's going to be the case, or it hasn't been the case so far, rather. At the moment, the whole country is under level 3. There's been restrictions on alcohol sales. There's been restrictions till now on tobacco. I think it's only on the introduction of level 3 that alcohol has been allowed to be on sale, but for stipulated days and for stipulated times. Social distancing is still a big issue, so a lot of public places where there'll be public gatherings have been closed and are not allowed to operate. So, I mean, that's just the elephant in the room. And then there's the George Floyd issue. I do apologize. The George Floyd passing at the hands of police officers. And that, I believe, nobody saw a turnaround to such an event as big as this. It's never happened, I think, in our lifetime as the current generation. I do apologize. I have to time this just to make sure that I'm on track. So, to get back on the more serious issue, which is George Floyd, I think he and every other Black American male, especially before him, he was the sacrificial lamb. He had to be the one to, die at the hands of police officers who really ill-treated him. And it's not like, the other police officers couldn't have done anything to save this man. They could have. I'm not going to get into that because I think, obviously, the news channels across the world have covered this extensively. But he had to be the sacrificial lamb to bring Hispanics, to bring whites or Caucasians, to bring Black people together, to say Black Lives Matter. Now, there's a few people who are taking the context of Black Lives Matter to say it's only Black lives that matter. We didn't say that only Black lives matter. We said that Black lives matter in the sense that we are also important, because clearly we seem to be the race that nobody cares about. So, you know, there's been a lot of celebrities that have been involved in this. And for the first time, irrespective of an ailment or a virus spreading so much, and it's such a rapid speed or pace, nobody cares any longer about corona. We care about our lives. And I know that might sound a bit warped or a bit contradictory, because we do care. But to see people come out in there in droves, in numbers, and I think it really hit hard when you could see people across the world, from not only in America, it was now in the UK, it was in Paris, or rather in France, it was in Italy, it was just everywhere. And I think today is in Cape Town with South Africa, it is in Cape Town, where they're marching towards the US Embassy. And I think one of the political parties, is also partaking in this march. So just looking at all of this, it's a lot to take in. There's a lot to reflect on. And, there's been a lot of videos that have been coming out on YouTube talking about, having prophetic words and words of wisdom and advice as to how to, cope with this situation. A lot of us, including myself, have been having extremely vivid and prophetic dreams. So there's been for those that have been really sensitive to the Spirit, you would take time to really focus on God and understand why this is happening. Take advantage of the fact that it is happening and you're in the safety of your home. Some people were quarantined away from their families. So everybody has had a different experience in terms of this COVID, pandemic. Well, for me, it's really been a lot of, I think like everybody else, it's been a lot of introspection. And I'm just grateful to God for the opportunity that this has happened. And I've drawn much closer to Him. I spend a lot of my time writing, exercising, meditating, reading the Word. As I've always talked about writing in my journal, I think it's important to really journal a lot of things. So I will, by the grace of God, be releasing videos. I haven't recorded, I have been writing, but I haven't recorded, and I hope to get to that point really quick. I think there was one time I was watching a video of one of the YouTube videos, influencers that I follow. And as I was watching this video, the Holy Spirit now said, isn't it about time that you also released a video? And I thought, you're right, because it has been a while. I've just been having those, you get to that motion where you feel, what am I going, and that's the devil, where you think, what am I going to say that people are going to listen to now? Or what could I possibly talk about that hasn't been talked about before? And I just went back to my words where I said, people will listen to your narration or of your version of events. It doesn't necessarily mean just because it's happened to you and it's happened to 5 or 10 other people that people still won't listen to your story. So hopefully, I think after this life update video, I think I'll be talking about the next topic, which I won't mention now. That's a separate thing. And I've been watching other influencers and how they've been coping with COVID, and there's lots of cleaning videos, extreme cleaning videos, and cooking videos. There's a lot of at-home workouts, which I think I've also, not I think, but I know I've partook in, and they've benefited me a lot. So just, time away from friends and family and colleagues at work really gives you a lot of things to think about. What's really important to you, how to prioritize. And not too long ago, I got to have a bit of an uncomfortable conversation with somebody close to me. And I, coming back, I felt the weight and the tension in my shoulders. And I realized a couple of things about myself based on that conversation, based on my past, based on how I've handled things. It was an eye-opener. And I remember during this uncomfortable conversation, the Holy Spirit kept on saying, just maintain your peace and your calm. We have worked so hard together to get to this point, and we still have got a bit of ground to cover. So maintain your calm. I think if there's anything important, is just to realize that you have to take time for yourself. You have to take time for yourself. You have to take time for your family, for those that are staying with their family. This is a time to really understand why you are on this earth, what your purpose is, what your gift is, what you're good at. And, you know, there's so many changes. And I love God because he's patient with each and every one of us, because he knows each and every one of us. I think with everything that I have been through in my personal journey, it's just taught me to fully rely on him. There were certain areas in my life that I wasn't surrendering, thinking subconsciously that I could control them, that I could, you know, I could take care of it, I could handle it myself. Then when you realize that your life is not your own, and the person that brought you here is actually the master planner of everything. And that's not to say that in an ugly and controlling way, but when you surrender to God, there is nothing like the peace that he gives you in return. Nothing like the peace. And that revelation came when I had this uncomfortable conversation with a family member. And it just opened my eyes to a lot of things. It opened my eyes to a lot of things. Personal struggles that I had kind of not dealt with too well. You know, and there's lots of questions from people around you that'll be asking, why don't you do this? Why aren't you doing that? And there's an influx of suggestions and stuff like that. But when you are true to yourself, that's number one, and you're true to the purpose and the call that God has given you, it gives you peace. It truly, truly, truly gives you peace. And that's what I want to leave you with in this video, just for you to know what I've been up to. So yeah, I've been on a bit of a, geez, that was a mouthful. I've been on a health journey, which is another thing, because I had to understand certain things that, and I will divulge at some point in a future video, I had to understand why I became the way I became, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And there was a lot of, it's like an onion, all the layers had to be peeled. And there's no rushing this healing process. And I'm so glad that God gave me the name for this channel, which was Healing One Heart at a Time. Because as I'm talking to you, I'm vulnerable enough, and I am humble enough to admit that I'm also a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. Just because I'm talking to you and I switch off the camera doesn't mean that I don't have my own challenges as soon as the camera goes off. I do. And I will admit that I do have my challenges. Sometimes I'm not going to talk about them immediately because I feel that the Holy Spirit hasn't released me to talk about them. But when he does, then I will, because this is definitely going to help somebody else. So as it is, I'm also a work in progress. So I enjoy walking and running a lot these days, like a lot. I've really enjoyed walking and running a lot. So that's what I have been up to during this lockdown period. So I hope you guys are keeping safe wherever you are. I hope you're keeping healthy. The best way I've also been keeping in touch with my family is through Skype, through Zoom, sometimes for work, sometimes with family. You know, it's just a very trying time for everybody. It's a very trying time for everybody. But the one thing I can see, especially looking at the George Floyd incident, is that there is a desperate desire for oneness. And that is the one thing that is so compelling when you watch the coverage across all the news networks. It's that desperate desire to be alive, to be respected, to be acknowledged as a human being more than anything. So family, I hope you're doing well, and yeah, that's it from me. I think I'm going to leave it at this point. So I hope I'm slowly coming back, but I believe I am coming back, and we'll see how things go moving forward, and see what the Holy Spirit puts in my heart as topics that I need to discuss and share with you guys. But anyway, other than that, thank you so much for just tuning in briefly to listen to my update. and look forward to my next topic, because I'm sure it's also going to be another interesting one. I'm sure. It feels so strange to sit in front of the camera. I haven't done it in a while. In almost 2 months, to be specific. Yeah, in almost 2 months. So it feels good to sit, actually feel at home sitting in front of the camera and talking to you guys. It's a beautiful feeling, because you know that the work that you're doing is going to touch somebody's life somewhere out there. So thank you so much for tuning in. To all my friends and family, hi, hope you're doing well. If my colleagues do watch us, hi, yes, I do YouTube. But yeah, I'm going to sign it off here and say thank you so much for tuning into Intimate Conversations with Frances O'Brien, healing one heart at a time. Until next time, be blessed and stay blessed always.